Sir, various forms of service providers, subject to the regulations and the controls which are there in the payment and systems legislation, make a particular charge. It is the policy of the government, and I do believe it's a correct policy, that we have to move more and more towards banking transactions and digital transactions. That makes the conduct of our financial transactions as also commercial transactions far cleaner and simpler and brings it within the framework of a particular system. As a part of this, there are alternative technologies available in India. There are also alternative steps being taken by the government to make sure that the volumes increase, as a result of which the rates come down. As far as the government is concerned, the government facilities are one by one deciding to absorb all the charges and free the customer or the merchant from bearing those charges itself. For instance, whether it is petrol pumps or it is railway tickets or it is various forms of government-related purchases, they have all one by one been exempted from payments. As far as debit cards are concerned, on debit cards, the Reserve Bank of India has taken a decision that with regard to transactions up to rupees 1,000, the charge would only be 0.25%, which has been substantially brought down. Up to 2,000, the charge would be 0.5%. Now, beyond that, what is to be the charge? Reserve Bank is in the process of deciding under the Payment and Systems Act, and I'm sure as the volumes are increasing, that charge itself will come down. There are also alternative technologies where the charges will come down significantly as far as those charges are concerned. And therefore, this is still work in progress, and the process of the merchant discount charges coming down is significantly taking place. Credit cards are on a different footing altogether, because in credit cards, the customer gets a certain number of days as a credit itself. Therefore, the interest factor is also factored in, which would be slightly higher than in the case of debit cards or in the case of other methodologies, including e-wallets through which the payments are being made.
Shri Vijay sir, ready?
See, in the case of American, particularly credit cards, American Express credit cards, see, the shops and establishment, they ask for extra charges and then collect from the customers. This is a unique feature which is only which American Express bank card is resorting to. Whereas other credit cards, Visa or MasterCard, they won't charge anything, a commercial establishment won't charge anything from the customers. Whereas merchant discounting charges, which are offered by the establishment, commercial establishment from which we make the purchases, that is shared by the bank as the bank which issues the card, and as well as by the service provider like Visa and MasterCard. Has the government got any plans to prevent the malpractices or the practice which is detrimental to the interest of the people, which is being resorted to by American Express card?
Thank you.
As I indicated in the reply to the first question, credit cards stand on a different footing compared to e-wallet or compared to the Aadhaar-based payment system or even the debit cards. The reason being that various credit card companies, besides offering a credit for a certain period of time, because you make the payment 30 days of some certain amount of weeks later, also start offering additional facilities. Now, they, on the strength of their facilities, decide as to what the charge is to be made. It is for really the customer or the consumer to decide whether he wants it to go in for these, where there is a certain higher element, because he has alternative options available. In India, for example, contrary to what's happening in many other parts of the world, the number of credit cards itself, for instance, I was told till about 2 months ago, approximately 75 crore cards are in circulation, of which about 72 crores were debit cards and not credit cards. So the number of credit cards are fewer in number and are used only for the economically more well-off people. Now, those people also have a choice as to what is the kind of facilities they want, and therefore discard the ones which are charging a higher amount, because at the end of the day, the amount has to be paid really by the merchant through whom we transact, and the merchant tries to impose that charge in some cases, as you mentioned, on the customer itself. So it's the market forces which will decide as to what methodology is to be followed, because now some of the newer technologies which are being offered are absolutely charge-free. And therefore, when that charge-free offer is available to the customer itself, then the customer has the option in a market economy really to go in for the cheaper instruments rather than go in for something which will cost him greater money.
Shri Nishad